Part 21. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 201. Chapter 201 Jealousy. Although Fen Ling said it was so calm and relaxed, Ye Qinghan knew that in reality it was probably not as easy as Fen Ling said. After all, it will not be easy to be someone who can be the brains of the alliance, someone who can compete with him without being at a disadvantage. At this moment, Ye Qinghan wanted to protect this tough girl even more. This is the punishment room of the Blood Evil Alliance. All those who have made mistakes will be sent here. The bottom is where the alien species are kept. Ye Qinghan paused and said, "It smells bad inside, so I won't go through." My lord, since she wants to be the mistress of the Blood Evil Alliance, she should be aware of everything. After all, she can't just leave the punishment room and the prison below alone in the future. 11 Mei looked at Fen Ling with hostility. Jamais pulled Jamais aside and knelt down on one knee. "Please forgive me, Jamais is unintentional." "Is it unintentional or intentional?" Fen Ling curled her lips and said nothing, but said to Ye Qinghan, "I also want to take a look. Ever since I joined the Blood Evil Alliance, we should be one." "How? Do you still want to give me a sinecure?" "What a shame." Ye Qinghan smiled helplessly. In fact, the punishment room and prison of the Blood Evil Alliance were much more terrifying than those of their alliance. The rules here are hell-like for them in the Special Alliance, but precisely because of this, there won't be anyone with different intentions. Because, once discovered, the consequences are not something they are willing to bear. "Let's go." Ye Qinghan made a gesture of invitation, then looked at 11 Mei with cold eyes. "There will be no next time." The evil spirit swayed and his face turned pale. Generally, when Ye Qinghan said this, it meant that he was disappointed in her. Next time, he might go directly to the punishment room. "Jamais, pay attention to your identity." After Ye Qinghan and Fen Ling walked away, Dong Xie stepped forward to warn Xiao Mei. Ji Mei pouted, obviously unwilling to do so. "I know, but I'm not willing to accept it." "Why can she be our mistress?" "Dongzi, are you willing to do this? If she becomes our mistress, then in the future we will have to obey the orders of someone inferior to us. This is the Lord's decision in any case. You should not interfere with the Lord's decision because of your emotions. Haunted, you have violated the Lord's bottom line. This time he bypassed you because you stayed by his side for a long time, but next time, it won't necessarily be the case." "But I'm really unwilling." The demon roared. "It's not whether you are willing to do it or not. Remember, you are just a secret guard, nothing more, and you will never be with the Lord," the demon said with some disappointment. Ji Mei snorted coldly. "So what? Even so, there is absolutely no way I can let Fen Ling be the mistress. Absolutely impossible." The demon's eyes were filled with jealousy, almost piercing Fen Ling. Fen Ling was walking in front, and she could feel a gaze from behind that was as sharp as a razor blade. Fen Ling shrugged. "Hey, it's a woman's jealousy. It's a pity. If she really didn't care before, after all, what does the peach blossoms around the dog man have to do with her? But now, the dog man is hers, well, at least for now, so." Fen Ling held Ye Qinghan's arm under the gnashing gaze of the devil, as if she was in love. Ye Qinghan looked over and Fen Ling whispered, "The peach blossoms are too big and they block the view. I help you catch the peach blossoms. No need to thank me." Ye Qinghan raised his eyebrows. "Are you jealous?" "Better." Fen Ling didn't know what Ye Qinghan was thinking. She only knew that at present, Ye Qinghan was considered a member of her own camp, so there was absolutely no way she could be pulled over by the enemy. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 202. Chapter 202 Not as stupid as you. Your Majesties, it who was in charge of the punishment room. When he saw Ye Qinghan and Fen Ling coming in, his eyes flashed with surprise. but he didn't say anything more and just stepped aside respectfully. Ye King Han nodded and looked at the woman tied to the shelf. Ling Shuang. The woman on the shelf looked at the man in front of her, a trace of struggle flashed in her eyes, but she did not speak immediately. It was only after a while that he finally spoke with difficulty, "Your Majesty. Name the person behind your scenes, and there's still room for maneuver." Ling Shuang was very confused. She naturally knows the punishment room, and she also knows that if she doesn't say what she is facing, it's just that person. She can't say it. If she does, what will her family do? This is your last chance. It's up to you whether you say it or not. Ye King Han's expression didn't change much as he walked to the chair in front of her and sat down. Feng Ling raised her eyebrows and took a chair to sit on. Generally speaking, Ye King Han wouldn't care about this kind of thing, but since he had brought Feng Ling here today, he wanted to take care of it. Zidu is still the dominant player. He walked up to Ling Shuang and said, "Ling Shuang, you know our rules, and you understand in your heart what consequences will occur once the news inside our Blood Evil Alliance spreads. Now that the Lord is willing to give you a chance, are you still unwilling to say it?" Ye King Han has always been ruthless. If someone like Ling Shuang betrayed her once, she would never give her another chance. Today, probably because this person is here. Zidu glanced at Feng Ling. He still doesn't know what Ye King Han means, but judging from his state, he probably wants to let this person thoroughly understand their Blood Evil Alliance. If this is the case, 11 Du glanced at the demon behind him, and he probably wouldn't have the slightest chance. While 11 Du was talking, Ye King Han briefly told Feng Ling about Ling Shuang. Ling Shuang was sent to the western region to bring back a batch of newly made medicine for people with special abilities to use after being injured. It also includes the latest research progress. However, Ling Shuang was intercepted on the road and everything was lost. After investigation, it was found that it was not that Ling Shuang had no way to fight back, but that Ling Shuang did not fight back at all. That man threatened Ling Shuang and her family. Ling Shuang compromised in order to prevent her family from being harmed. Feng Ling's eyes flashed. Such a thing has happened to Turlin before. It's just that because the system of the Special Alliance is not as strict as that of the Blood Evil Alliance, in the end, that person is just forced to quit the Special Alliance and will never be used by the Special Alliance. Lord. 11 Du pressed for a long time, but Ling Shuang still didn't want to speak. 11 Du looked at Ye King Han and asked if he wanted to torture Ling Shuang. The man nodded slightly. Zidu nodded, raised his hand, and asked someone to come over with a chopping board full of small needles. Everyone clearly saw that the woman on the shelf was stiff, but they still said nothing. Feng Ling held the chair with one hand and said calmly, "If I were you, I would say." She glanced at the chopping board, which was indeed scary. "Why should I suffer this? What do you know?" Ling Shuang didn't know Feng Ling's identity, she only thought that Feng Ling was Ye King Han's favorite girl, someone who would be lost after playing with her for a while. Feng Ling curled her lips and said, "I don't understand, because I'm not as stupid as you." "You?" Ling Shuang stared, but in the end she didn't say anything. She didn't want to talk to such an uneducated woman who only knew how to sell. Feng Ling smiled, and the smile was quite meaningful. Zidu glanced at her. He thought she wanted to say something else, but Feng Ling didn't seem to have the intention to say anything more. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 203. Chapter 203. Are you showing mercy? He waved his hand. Ling Shuang was like a piece of fish on a chopping board, ready to be slaughtered. The scene was extremely for a time. However, What surprised Fen Ling was that Ling Xuang was still a tough guy. Apart from a few muffled groans, he actually didn't make any more moans. Chopping board, I think when she was brought in, she had not been used for this. Speaking of which, she had to thank this man for being merciful to her. Fen Ling glanced at Ye King Han, her eyes were quite meaningful. Ye King Han. Shouldn't he have brought her here? He seemed to have done something wrong, and now he felt a chill on his back for no reason. Fen Ling, you are right, she just wanted to fight with him right there and then, the kind where she would kill him unilaterally. Ye King Han. How about I apologize after it's over? At that time, due to various reasons, in short, I was crazy and wanted to use violence to solve the problem. It's a pity that the little woman holds a grudge, even though, he almost lost his brother. Ji Mei kept staring at Fen Ling, wanting to see her frightened expression. After all, not everyone can watch such a scene without changing their expression. But who is Fen Ling? Boss. What's more, the boss once stayed in this place for 3 days and 3 nights without getting any water. Almost half of the blood has been lost. I see you lay down for half a month. For a big boss, this is just a small scene, okay. Fen Ling sat lazily on the chair, not even wanting to raise her eyelids. This was too childish for her, so she just lay down. Ling Xuang, right, Fen Ling spoke slowly after a bunch of punishments were imposed on 11 Du. You are afraid of what the person behind you will do to you, your family, or others. Why are you not worried about what your Lord will do to your family? Or do you think that your Lord is like the 3 holy mothers from heaven who descended to earth, and that you are so kind-hearted? Ling Xuang was stunned by the question. She looked at Fen Ling blankly, seeming to have forgotten the pain on her body. Fen Ling raised her eyebrows and said, "What do you think is the purpose of holding on here? Is it for your family? Or for the person behind you? If it is for your family, do you think your family agrees? If it's for the person behind you, I think it's not a good thing that you're like this and he still doesn't hear from you and doesn't ask any questions. Oh, by the way, also, if I were the person behind you, for someone who has betrayed others, even if she is mine now and is helping me do things, I will never trust her 100%, because, if she can betray others, how do I know that she won't betray me next time because of something? So, Ling Xuang, what do you think you would do if you were the person behind it? Are you really protecting your family instead of sending them to death? Do you know what your family will face in the future if you do this? After Fen Ling asked a series of questions, it was not only Ling Xuang who was stunned, but also shocked everyone present. Including Ye King Han. He has always known that his little woman is excellent, but he has never really felt it. But now, he finally knows what the brain in the alliance really is. He curled his lips. He was indeed the brains of the alliance and knew how to attack people's hearts. Fen Ling walked up to Ling Xuang and pressed her wound. She successfully made her frown. Use your brain and think about it carefully. If I were you, I would seek the protection of God Killer instead of just thinking about it. Hit wherever someone points you. People live for themselves sometimes, but there are options. Unfortunately, you chose the worst way. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 204. Chapter 204. Let's have a fight. After a long time, Ling Xuang's whole body collapsed. I said. A flash of shock flashed through Zidu's eyes. So many people didn't even let Ling Xuang speak, but Fen Ling, after just a few words, Ling Xuang did it. I don't know that person's name, I only know that that person should be a man, and his walking seems to be a little crooked, but it's not obvious. He is very powerful and I can't beat him at all. He threatened to kill my family if I didn't do what he said. I have my parents and my sister at home. I can't put them in danger, I promised. Ling Shuang closed her eyes, and then looked at Ye King Han. My lord, Ling Shuang knows that he was wrong, please punish me. Your parents and sister have been properly settled by us. No one can harm them. However, the rules of the Blood Evil Alliance cannot be broken. There was no emotion in Ye King Han's voice. According to the rules of the Blood Evil Alliance, anyone who betrays the Blood Evil Alliance will undergo the most severe 49 punishments of the Blood Evil Alliance for 7 days and 7 nights, during which they will not be given any food or drink. Will they survive? Go down, it all depends on God's will. But everyone knows that no one can survive 7 days without eating or drinking, even if they are people with special abilities. The punishments of the Blood Evil Alliance are more severe than the last. Ling Shuang, thank you, Lord. Ling Shuang already knew her fate, but she never expected that the Lord would send someone to protect her family. Now that I think about it, she is really not human. Lord. Hearing this order, Jin Mei knelt down and said, Ling Shuang just went astray for a moment. Can you give Ling Shuang a chance? She can't survive the punishment of the Blood Evil Alliance. Ling Shuang has a close relationship with Jin Mei and is considered a good friend of Jin Mei. She thought that everything would be fine if Ling Shuang admitted it, but now. Zhen Mei, Dongzi's voice lost all warmth this time. Xiao Mei has violated the rules again and again during this period. This time, he actually had to go against the rules of the Blood Fiend Alliance. Lord, rules are made by people, we can't take it for granted. Friendship. According to what you said, everyone who has stayed in the Blood Evil Alliance for a period of time has a romantic relationship with the Blood Evil Alliance. So, if someone commits a crime in the future, what will happen if everyone uses the friendship as an excuse? Feng Ling sneered. Are you a demon? As a secret guard, you challenge your master's bottom line again and again, or do you want to taste the 7 or 49 punishments on Ling Shuang's behalf? You don't understand anything at all, Ji Mei yelled at Feng Ling. The next thing I felt was a sharp pain in my chest, and my whole body flew out. Evil, the evil spirit exclaimed and flew out to catch the evil spirit whose 8 ribs were broken. The severe pain caused Xia Mei to faint. The demon kneeled on the ground holding the demon in his arms. Yeking's cold voice said, next time, I will be sent to death. The demon trembled and said, yes, I will definitely educate the demon well and prevent her from talking nonsense again. Ye King Han looked away, and the demon breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time he felt a little uncomfortable. What do you want to do? Since when has it been your turn to question the Lord's affairs? Let's have a fight. This was the first thing Feng Ling and Ye King Han said outside the punishment room. Ye King Han. He knew it? Can you? No, Feng Ling had no intention of letting him go this time. When you dared to bring me in, you should have been prepared for my revenge. Ye King Han, if you are a man, fight me. I'm not. Feng Ling. Ye King Han, can we have some backbone? You hit me and I won't fight back. No, if you want to fight, fight hard. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 205. Chapter 205 Commitment. Ye King Han. Is it too late for him to regret bringing her here so that she can remember the past? So, at a certain point in the Bloody Alliance, the two people fought so hard that the ground shook. Of course, it was Feng Ling's unilateral killing. Ye King Han was reluctant to even touch her hair, so how could he be willing to beat her? But it's hard to make the little girl feel that he's not making her feel bad, because Feng Ling's little brain is really powerful, and he doesn't know when he'll throw a move at him, making him unable to guard against it. Finally, after a full hour of beating, the girl felt temporarily relieved. Ye King Han knew that it was only temporary. In the future, there might be another 5, 6, 7, or 8 such scenes. Ye King Han sighed. Over there, everyone in the Blood Evil Alliance was discussing the new matron. Who is that? Is she really our mistress? I don't know, I haven't heard of it anywhere before. Is she a big boss somewhere? Big boss, he's just a waste with no special abilities. When everyone saw the demon, they all dispersed and stood aside. I am a little curious about what the devil said. Seeing how well behaved these people were, the devil finally felt a little better. The people from the Blood Evil Alliance were still well behaved, unlike a certain person. When she thought of Fenling, 11 May gritted her teeth and wanted to slap her to death, but with Yekinghan in front of her, she could only think about it now. However, a person without special abilities will never be as good as them throughout his life. Fenling and them will not be in the same world after all. Thinking of this, CMA felt better again. Maybe the Lord is only interested in her temporarily. After that period of time, she will see if Fenling can stay here through the Lord. I'm telling you, don't talk to that Fenling if you have nothing to do. You are people with special abilities, and she is an ordinary person. You should know what you should say and what should not be said. Yes, Lord Xiaomei. Everyone responded. In their minds, there is still a difference between people with special abilities and ordinary people. However, just when everyone had made up their mind to treat Fenling differently, Yekinghan suddenly issued an order to let 15 and 16 follow Fenling and act as Fenling's secret guards. Fenling said that she really refused, but because a certain man was too strong and could not tolerate her refusal, and the current situation was indeed that sometimes she was not as safe as 3 people coming alone, so Fenling went with Yekinghan compromised. As for why 15 or 16 were chosen, it was because these two were newcomers to the Blood Fiend Alliance, and it was easier for them to get along with Fenling than the old men from the Blood Fiend Alliance. And these two people are relatively honest and honest in character. 15 or 16, you are willing to follow. Yekinghan gave them a choice, which was also Fenling's suggestion. If the two of them were conflicted, then even if they followed her, it would be useless and would even hinder her. 15 and 16 looked at each other in confusion. In fact, they had managed to save their lives. If it hadn't been for Yekinghan, they might have died long ago. Because of Yekinghan, they are now able to stay in the Blood Evil Alliance and play their role. They are already very satisfied. Now Yekinghan asked them to follow this mistress whom they had never met before. To be honest, they had no objections in their hearts. Because in their hearts, Yekinghan is God, and they will naturally obey God's will and will not violate it. The two men knelt down on one knee and said to Yekinghan, "We too obey the Lord's command. 3 months, if you don't want to follow me after 3 months, you can still return to the Blood Evil Alliance." This is Fenling's promise to them. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 206. Chapter 206. I want to thank the Lord. 15 and 16 looked at each other, as if they did not expect Fenling to make such a promise to them. For the first time, they began to value this ordinary-looking girl in their hearts. Without a certain degree of confidence, no one would say such a thing. Although they have no other thoughts and only know how to obey their master's orders, they are not stupid. They know very well who is good and who is bad, who is smart and who is stupid. Obviously, the petite girl in front of them deserves their attention. Ji-mei snorted from behind. I really don't know what confidence Fenling had to say such a thing. How could an ordinary person think that it would take 3 months to convince them? Ordinary people and people with special abilities are always different. The responsibilities they bear and the environment in which they live are all essential differences. It's a pity that Fenling doesn't know their identities. Otherwise, she would not dare to make this promise. She just waited, and when the time came, Fenling would slap herself in the face. When he thought about what would happen in the end, Xiaomei's mood suddenly became particularly beautiful. Dongzi, you will also follow her during this period. You are not allowed to leave without my order. Yes, Dongzi obeys your order. Dongzi, Jinmi looked at Dongzi in surprise, my lord. Jinmi wanted to say something else, but Genji stopped him. Jinmi, do you still want to challenge the lord again and again? I think your lord must have been smitten by that charming Feng Ling. Ghost, Dongzi has been following the lord since you and I came in. Why would the lord give him to that now? This is the lord's decision, and he naturally knows it well. If Dongzi is willing to agree, you don't have to do this. The demon has a headache. Ji Mei snorted, but thinking about the lord's attitude towards her because of that woman, she didn't dare to speak out anymore, but she silently sympathized with Dong Xie in her heart. After traveling around the Blood Fiend Alliance, Feng Ling had a general understanding of the Blood Fiend Alliance. The Blood Fiend Alliance's hierarchy was very strict, which resulted in many confidential documents of the Blood Fiend Alliance not being leaked casually. The harsh punishment method also alerted everyone in the Blood Evil Alliance. Generally, if there is no problem with their brains, they will not find trouble to challenge Ye King Han's bottom line. 3 days have passed, and Feng Ling is basically familiar with the Blood Evil Alliance. Let's go see Ling Shuang Dongzi. Do you need to tell Ye King Han? Tonight King Han had something to do, so Feng Ling asked. After all, if another day passes, it is not certain whether the girl can hold on. No, the Lord has ordered that all places in the Blood Evil Alliance be open to you. Wherever you want to go, my subordinates will just take you there. Dongzi made a gesture of invitation and said, Miss Feng, please come with me. Well, thanks. Feng Ling nodded, and then followed Dong Xie to the punishment room. At this moment, Ling Shuang had just finished a new round of punishment. The whole person was dying, and Feng Ling knew from the first moment he looked at her that she was not in a good condition. What are you doing here? Look at you. Feng Ling knelt down, held her hand, and took her pulse. A trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. This Ling Shuang is a bit interesting. Although he looks so weak on the surface, there is still a majestic vitality in his body. If that life force could be released, I'm afraid she could survive without her help. But what will happen in the future is hard to say. Tell me, if you survive this time, what would you like to do? I want to thank you, Your Majesty. Ling Shuang's eyes were full of regret. She really regretted that she was so obsessed with it that she could not trust the Lord 100%. She is not worthy of the Lord treating her like that. I know I took the wrong path, but I can't turn back. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 207. Chapter 207 ends here. Ling Shuang lowered her head and shook her head helplessly. Do you want to go back? A clear voice came from above the head, and Ling Shuang's body froze. What did you say? I said, do you want to turn back? If you want to turn back, then I will give you this opportunity. Feng Ling took out a bottle from his pocket. This can cure your injuries. I have medicine that can make all your injuries 80% better in 1 day, but I won't give it to you because you deserve it. Punishment. This medicine will only guarantee that you will not die in the next 4 days, but what will happen after 7 days depends on your will. Do you understand what I mean? Why? Ling Shuang didn't understand. She had obviously done such an unforgivable thing. Feng Ling smiled and said, I am here to kill the gods. There is also the Blood Fiend Alliance. Your Majesty, Ling Shuang was a little confused and didn't seem to understand what Feng Ling meant. Since you know what the person behind you wants, you should be clear about the current situation. You have what the Blood Evil Alliance needs. However, the prerequisite for me to agree to save you is to take this bottle of medicine. Feng Ling took out another bottle of medicine and told Ling Shuang straightforwardly, this is poison. After taking it, come to me every month to get the antidote. As long as you always have the blood evil alliance and God killing in your heart, this poison will not only it will cause harm to your body and strengthen your muscles. But once you have a different intention, I will not give you the antidote. Within a day, your body will rot and fester. Whether you want to drink it or not is your choice. Ling Shuang glanced at the medicine on the ground, picked it up and drank it. As long as I can live, in the next life, I will live for the blood evil alliance. The determination in the girl's eyes made Feng Ling curl her lips. 11 Do, keep an eye on her. Yes, Miss Feng. 11 Do nodded, and then watched Feng Ling leave. Ms. Feng, thank you. What are you thanking me for? Feng Ling glanced at Dong Xia and raised her eyebrows. Dong Xia pursed his lips and said, Ling Shuang is a good friend of Jin Mei. Haunt her. I know what she's thinking. You know. Feng Ling smiled but said nothing. Dongzi suddenly understood what Feng Ling meant. Also, the evil spirit showed his displeasure with her again and again in front of Feng Ling. How could such a smart girl like Feng Ling not understand what the evil spirit meant? I'm sorry for the devil. There is no need to apologize to me, this is a matter between me and Xiao Mei. Do you want Ling Shuang to be the friend of Xiao Mei to persuade Xiao Mei? But Dongzi, you don't understand a woman's heart. In this matter, only Xiao Mei herself came out of the stubborn corner, and people's advice would only make her go deeper. Ling Shuang is a friend, aren't you? But is all your advice useful? Feng Ling's question blocked Dong Xia's mouth. He stood there, indeed, in vain. So, since this matter is between me and Xiao Mei, it can only be resolved by me and Xiao Mei. Don't worry, I won't do anything as long as she doesn't threaten to kill the gods and doesn't do anything to harm my life. But if her jealousy hurts someone she cares about, then, sorry, she will not show mercy. Dongzi nodded, Miss Feng, I understand what you said, thank you. You don't need to thank me, Dongzi, I promise your lord to join the Blood Evil Alliance from now on, I will also be a part of the Blood Evil Alliance. You are smart and should know who your lord is, and you should also know that he will not make impulsive decisions for no reason. Miss Feng. Dong Xia's pupils shrank. Feng Ling, that's all I have to say, and you can understand the rest by yourself. End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 208. Chapter 208 Protect Yourself. Feng Ling stayed in the Blood Evil League for a while and then returned. During this period, she went back to school. It was called an exam. In fact, Wang Zhaihong promised her to take the exam and then allocate the remaining time as she pleased. However, something happened in Lingyang High School recently. Yu Fei from Class 1, Grade 3, disappeared inexplicably. When she was found again, she was dead in the woods at the school. She had many strange injuries on her body. Forensic examination could not detect it, but it was definitely caused by external force. Lingling, you're here. Yelamo felt happy when she saw Feng Ling. She was sad for a long time when she heard that Feng Ling would no longer come to school. She didn't expect that Feng Ling would come back today. Feng Ling nodded, something happened at school recently, and I was worried about it, so I came here to study for a while. Yeah, Limo. So the big guys go to school not just for studying? Do you understand, Yu Fei? Feng Ling asked. Yelamo nodded, I know her. She is a very strange girl in Class 1. She doesn't like to talk much, but she is also not easy to mess with. Most people who approach her will be frightened by the air conditioning on her body. Usually, he is cold and cold. He doesn't like to be close to people and he doesn't have many friends. But with her personality, it is not impossible to make enemies. But we haven't heard of her having any enemies, so it's quite strange. Yelamo frowned, everyone is discussing this matter now. We don't know who did it. Before the murderer was caught, everyone was quite scared. After all, who knows if there will be another one. After all, although Yufei has no friends, she doesn't seem to have any enemies. The family conditions are also average, and no one is greedy for Yufei's family's money. My parents are also serious civil servants. They don't have much money and they want to be stable. This time, the daughter they finally raised died, not to mention how sad the two parents were. Where is Chiyu? How is she doing lately? I didn't do it. Chiyu suddenly appeared behind Feng Ling, his eyes cold. What happened this time has nothing to do with me. You don't need to waste your time on me. Chiyu glanced at her, then turned and left. She was also curious about who had tampered with this school. She asked 3 other people, but no one admitted that people from Luokang should not lie. So, the murderer is someone else. Not Chiyu. Feng Ling felt a little uneasy in her heart. If it wasn't Chiyu, then it was probably another force. The current situation is unclear, but Chiyu is arrogant and does not bother to lie. If she says no, there is a 90% chance that it is not her. However, compared to a hidden force, she would actually rather be Chiyu. You take care of yourself and call me if you need anything. Feng Ling asked Yelimo. Yelimo nodded, I know, don't worry, I will protect myself. But, Feng Ling, what are you going to do? Yelimo saw that Feng Ling seemed to be planning to walk out. Feng Ling said, go and see the scene. She asked Wang Haihong to keep the scene, and she wanted to see who did it. In the end, Feng Ling's bad premonition came true. The person who killed Yufei was really a person with special abilities. But it's hard to say whether it's an alien species, because she didn't notice any scent of alien species on the field. What do you see? Wang Haihong was confused. If something like this happens to his students in his own territory, any principal has an unshirkable responsibility. Feng Ling just said silently, this matter has nothing to do with you. Protect yourself and the students here. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 209. Chapter 209 Little Ancestor. 15 or 16, keep an eye on the scene, Dongzi, notify Yeking Han. Yes. Yes, Miss Feng. Dong Xie nodded and his expression became solemn. It was obvious that he also saw something different. Feng Ling surveyed the scene and found that except for the smell of people with special abilities, there were no traces of a fight. It seemed that Yufei died at the scene out of thin air. Who is it and for what purpose? Feng Ling frowned. The grove of Lingyang High School has always been a place for some students to fall in love. After the teachers found out about it, they would often come here to arrest them. Yufei came to the grove for what exactly? Master, do you need anything from us? 15 saw that Feng Ling seemed to have encountered some difficulty, so he asked. Feng Ling shook her head, no, I was just wondering if this man and Yufei knew each other. Otherwise, according to Yufei's character, she shouldn't have come to the woods. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that that person killed Yufei elsewhere. But this possibility is too small, because people with special abilities generally disdain to imitate ordinary people in changing positions and diverting attention. They have what they call arrogance. Of course, this arrogance sometimes makes them exposed. Is the matter done? Somewhere in the world, a voice hidden in the darkness sounded. No one knew whether the person was male or female, tall, short, fat or thin. Sir, it's done. Very good, let's see what Ling and God Killer do next. The man smiled scornfully. Sir, where is Tilian? Tilian, the man sneered, Luo Chen now wants to be the top leader of the Tilian. The Tilian is so busy right now that he can't even handle alien species. Where does he have the time to take care of us? Don't take Turlin seriously. You continue to stare. I want to see what the God Killer and the so-called Alliance Brain will achieve. Should we sacrifice a group of people for one person, or should we sacrifice one person for a group of people? God killing, 0, what will you choose? The man lowered his head and didn't know what he was looking at, and laughed gloomily. This thing is getting more and more fun. His chess game finally started to move. Fengling and Yekinghan didn't know that someone had been targeting them at the moment. According to Fengling's investigation, besides her parents, Yufei only knew one male best friend during her lifetime, and this male best friend also disappeared after Yufei's death. It's like disappearing from the world. Fengling and Yekinghan are basically certain that the cause of Yufei's death is closely related to this male best friend. 16. Look for news about Liu Yang. Yes. 16 was ordered to leave. Fengling looked at Yekinghan and said, "It seems like we really can't rest anymore. This matter is obviously directed at them." "Protect yourself." Yekinghan pinched the girl's face. Fengling opened it with a smile, "Of course I will protect myself. When has Ling ever failed? Except for you." Fengling rolled her eyes at Yekinghan. The man touched his nose but said nothing. This girl really holds a grudge. She has been doing this for a long time. "Will you accompany me to Jinshui Pavilion tonight?" "What to do?" "Go and meet someone you should be interested in. He is also an expert in making potions for people with special abilities, but his direction is different from yours. What he makes is potion, and what you make is pills." "Oh," Fengling raised her eyebrows. Yekinghan was right, she was indeed quite interested. "Okay, see you tonight." "Okay, see you tonight." After the two of them said goodbye, Fengling walked slowly back to class. Instead of going to class, it's better to work in a different place. "Little ancestor, when will you give me your manuscript?" End of this chapter. The max level boss is too cruel. Author, Fire Otter. Chapter 210. Chapter 210 Ningluo. Soon. Fengling typed 2 words and sent it, which was quite perfunctory. After a while, the other person sent a crying emoticon. "Little ancestor, you said the same thing a week ago, and you said the same thing a month ago, but you didn't feel wrong to others." Fengling, "Well, it seems, yes. Ahem, I've been quite busy recently. I'll send it to you soon." Fengling swore for a long time before the other person could believe it and changed the subject. "By the way, little ancestor, there will be a group author exchange meeting soon, and there will be an opportunity to communicate with fans. Will you come?" As if he was afraid that Fengling would not agree, the other party also offered a particularly tempting offer. The leader said that as long as you come over, money is not a problem. The next second, Fengling typed 2 words, "I'll go." Opposite. Although, you don't have to express your love for money so vividly. But at any rate, this woman finally agreed, and there is hope for her promotion and salary increase. She sent Fengling her time and address, and after getting an accurate reply from the other party, she didn't send any more messages, because she knew that her boss had a bad temper and didn't like others staring at her every day. She wants to be an editor who is liked by the masters, so that she can get a promotion and a salary increase. Fengling is the author of the best-selling book Fenyu in the online literary world. In short, the existence of Sci-fi is a bug in the internet literary world. Everyone is wondering how there are people who are so good at writing articles. Simply, unscientific. But some people speculate that this 11 may be a otaku with a fat head and big ears. After all, there is still a difference between imagination and reality. Have you heard? This time we are coming on the 11th. What? You mean the 11 gods? Doesn't she never show up? I don't know what I used this time, but I just invited this person here. By the way, I really like the book she wrote. I really want to know when she will release a new book. I really want to catch up. I have read Fenyu 3 times. Actually, what I'm more curious about is whether 11 is a boy or a girl, and whether she is good looking or not, ha ha ha. You nymphomaniac. After everyone had a laugh, they turned their attention to the girl wearing a white dress over the piano. That one is also a new author. Although she doesn't have as many fans as 11, I can't help but look good. How could such a good-looking author who is good at writing not be liked by everyone? Her name is Ning Luo, she is 20 years old. You haven't graduated from college yet. Everyone is saying that you can make money before you graduate from college. You are simply a role model for contemporary youth. Ning Luo and Shi are both authors who have developed in the past 3 years, and it is inevitable that everyone will compare them together. After Ning Luo played a piece of music, he looked at the people around him and said in a gentle voice, "Listen to them, is the National Day coming this time?" "Yeah, but it's useless even if she comes, she must be a fat uncle. Can't be compared with you." Ning Luo's flattered her all the time. Ning Luo smiled, "Don't say that, maybe she is also a beauty." Ning Luo didn't think 11 was more beautiful than her, so she wasn't too modest, because she had her own arrogance. There are not many authors who are as popular as she is when she is really young. That 11 is probably 27 or 80 years old at least. Ning Luo thought to himself. End of this chapter.